Hello and welcome to another video from salesberg.com. In this video we shall be looking at Aywun RADI A1-V4 Black Edition CPU cooler. One of the main attraction of this cooler is that it is really cheap. For about $22 you get a tower cooler. Now Aywun is not a major brand name. It's not very well known, but that is not something that will determine whether their product is any good or not. We shall test it to know. Anyhow, let's get into the unboxing. Well, it comes in a colorfully printed cardboard box, as you can see, and on the side there is a lot of specifications written as well for the product. First things to come out of the box are the mounting hardware. The cooler supports most mainstream sockets such as LG A775, 1155, 1366, AM2, AM2 Plus, etc. And they have provided various mounting hardwares to cater for all that. They have also included a RPM controller or speed controller, as they mention it, in order to change the RPM from 1000 to 2000 thereabouts. Also, there is a syringe of thermal paste included. Thermal paste must be used with this cooler, although it is a direct contact CPU cooler. I will talk about the direct contact bit a little bit later, but for now let me just mention that without thermal paste I tested this cooler as well, and it was not very good that way. But as soon as I applied thermal paste, the results were completely different. Besides, I do not recommend that you install your CPU cooler without any thermal paste, unless of course you have a good reason to do so. So let's look at the provided dimmer for a second. It's very simple, with a control dial on the top. On one end the connector from the CPU cooler's fan plugs in, and the other end the wire goes and connects to your motherboard. The CPU cooler itself is completely painted in black. All the fins, the terminating points of the heat pipe, the frame of the fan, they're all black, with a contrasting red fan right in the middle. The bottom contact plate also has a little aluminum heatsink attached on top of it, which is also painted black. Hence, with all this black going around, it is fairly named Black Edition. The heat pipe is measured at approximately 6 mm diameter, and these heat pipes are machined down along with the contact plate to come in direct contact with the CPU surface, which makes it a direct contact CPU cooler. The dimensions of the cooler is height 150 mm, width about 92 mm, and length is about 65 mm including the fan. So for a tower cooler this is relatively small. Installation is very simple as well. There is no back plate, so no need to reach the back of the motherboard, and the fan was already installed, so didn't have to do anything there. The fan was mounted using rubber mounts, and while running it was really quiet. Even with the case open and the fan was running at 2000 RPMs, it was barely audible, and I could most certainly feel the air flowing, so it was doing its job, except that it was surprisingly quiet. So let's run some tests now. At idle, the temperature was hovering at about 29 to 30 degrees. The room temperature was 25 degrees Celsius. Prime 95 was used to heat up the CPU. Prime 95 puts a lot of stress on the CPU, therefore it starts to heat up. By default, the CPU fan was spinning at about 2300 RPM. At the surface of the cooler, the external temperatures were very tame. The lowest temperature as seen was about 33 degrees to 38 degrees. The CPU in itself stabilized at 50 degrees. Although the Prime 95 was running at the background, the temperature was not going any higher than that. Now, I did say before that you must use thermal paste. Without thermal paste, the same test resulted in 80 degrees. A quick note, the CPU used over here is a Q8400, which has a TDP of 95 watt. Now that's a figure which is relevant for more modern CPUs as well. For example, the Core i7-2700K has a TDP of 95 watts, and the Core i7-3770 has a TDP of 77 watts. Links for more comprehensive list is provided at the description below. Coming back to the test, as soon as I stop the Prime 95, the temperature stabilizes back down to 30 degrees. And that concludes the test with reasonably favorable results. I did start this video saying that this was a cheap cooler at about $22. However, It does everything that other more expensive coolers do. It's cool, it's quiet, it's little and very easy to install. I bought this cooler only because I was putting together a computer using old parts. Didn't have high expectations, so the results I see over here is all the more satisfactory. Aywun website says 4 heat pipes. It's actually 2 heat pipes set up in a U shape. But who cares? $10 per heat pipe. What a bargain. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Your comments and suggestions are most welcome. Please subscribe in order to stay updated with our latest videos. Bye for now.